Today we're going to be reading The Mystics of Islam by Reynold A. Nicholson, Routledge, Kegan Paul, London, 1914. And we're just going to pick up where I left off. This is dealing with the introduction. I already read this. I'm going to start over here at chapter 1. Alright. Mystics of every race and creed have described the progress of the spiritual life as a journey or a pilgrimage. Other symbols have been used for the same purpose, but this one appears to be almost universal in its range. The Sufi, who sets out to seek God, calls himself a traveler, salik. He advances by slow stages, maqamat, along a path, tariqat, to the goal of union with reality, fanafil fil haq. Should he venture to make a map of his interior ascent, it will not correspond exactly with any of those made by previous explorers. Such maps or scales of perfection were elaborated by Sufi teachers at an early period, and the unlikely Muslim habit of systematizing has produced an enormous aftercrop. The path expounded by the author of the Kitab al-Umma, perhaps the oldest comprehensive treatise on Sufism that we now possess, consists of the following 7 stages, each of which, except the first member of the series, is the result of the stages immediately. All right, there goes that number 7 again, right? The 7 stages. Islam. Where was we at? Immediately preceding it. 1, repentance. So the first, what are they saying this is? They're saying that this is the 7 stages. Okay, so the first stage would be repentance. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me for being a dumbass. Number 2, abstinence. All right, no more obsessing over body parts. Okay, preserve your energies. Number 3, renunciation. That's a big one. You got to let it go. All them foods that are causing you harm, you got to let them go. All those people who are bringing your energy down, you got to let them go. All of those things that affect your mind and your body, they keep you at the lower vibrational state, which is still high vibration. That's what people don't get. Low vibration is still a high vibration. It's still a high frequency, but it's just not high enough. Okay. There's military choppers outside or something. Yeah, there's helicopters over my house. They're shaking my windows, but I don't see nothing. Thought they were about to start messing with me. I remember the sister said that, or one of the mothers said that there was a visible helicopter over her house. All right. So where was we at? All right. Yeah. So number 3 is renunciation. You gotta go ahead and proclaim. You know what I mean? That you're not attached to this world, right? You're not attached to the things of the world, which keep you distracted from raising your vibrations. Let's see, raising your frequency, right? I think that would be a more appropriate term, raising your frequency rather than raising your vibrations, right? Your vibration is going to change with the raising of the frequency, right? Higher frequency. All right, poverty. Okay, and let's go ahead and do the etymology on poverty so that we get this the right way. Poverty is a noun, late 12th century. Poverte, destitution, want, need, or insufficiency of money or goods. Oh, French. Poverty, misery, wretched condition. Latin, paupertatum, nominative, paupertus, poverty, from pauper, poor, see poor. From early 13th century in reference to deliberate poverty as a Christian act, figuratively from mid 14th century, dearth, sanctity of the spirit, humility from the Beatitudes. Seeing so much poverty everywhere makes me think that God is not rich. He gives the appearance of it, but I suspect some financial difficulties. That sounds stupid because the Most High didn't make that paper money. People did, humans did, and so the lack of having it doesn't mean that the Most High is poor or whatever the heck they were saying. Where was we building at? Sacred text. This is something else. Oh, here we go. All right. So, poverty. All right. Patience. Trust in the invoking mind. Right? Trust in God. And 7, satisfaction. Oh, it sounds like the 7th day when he rested on the 7th day or whatever. Islam. The stages constitute the ascetic and ethical discipline of the Sufi and must be carefully distinguished from the so-called states. Awal, plural to ha, which form a similar psychological chain. The writer whom I have just quoted enumerates 10 states: meditation, nearness to God, love, fear, hope, longing, intimacy, tranquility, contemplation, and certainty. While the stages can be acquired and mastered by one's own efforts, the states are spiritual feelings and dispositions over which they descend from God into his heart, without his being able to repel them when they come or to retain them when they go. The Sufi's path is not finished until he has traversed all the stages, making himself perfect in every one of them, before advancing to the next, and has also experienced whatever states it pleases the invoking mind to bestow upon him. Then, and only then, is he permanently raised to the higher planes of consciousness, which Sufis call the gnosis, marifat, and the truth, hikakat, where the seeker, talib, becomes the knower or Gnostic, arif, and realizes that knowledge, knower, and known are one. Knowledge, knower, and known are one. we're going to stop right there. All right. Leave your comments below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about what we just read. Just wanted to go into about Sufi because a lot of Moors don't understand. Saying we Islam, right? Okay. Well, do you know about the mystics of Islam, right? Because when you have gnosis, knowledge, knowing, understanding, discernment, and all that, you come to the realization in your studies that, you know, some Islamic sects are more dogmatic than others, and some aren't dogmatic at all. Let's see if we go over some of this right here. This introduction. Let's see what they got. They got something in here. Christianity, Neoplatonism, Gnosticism. Let's read about Gnosticism. All right. Though little direct evidence is available, the conspicuous place occupied by the theory of gnosis and early Sufi speculation suggests contact with Christian Gnosticism. And it is worth noting that the parents of Maruf al-Qarqi, whose definition of Sufism as the apprehension of divine realities, whose definition of Sufism as the apprehension of divine realities was quoted on the first page of his introduction, are said to have been Sabians, i.e., Mandaeans, dwelling in the Babylonian Finland between Basra and Wasit. Other Muslim saints had learned the mystery of the great name. It was communicated to Ibrahim ibn Adam by a man whom he met while traveling in the desert. And as soon as he pronounced it, he saw the prophet Qadir, Elias. The ancient Sufis borrowed from the Manichaeans the term Sadiq, which they applied to their own spiritual adepts, and a later school returning to the dualism of money held the view that the diversity of phenomena arises from the admixture of light and darkness. The ideal of human action is freedom from the taint of darkness and the freedom of light from darkness. Here comes that helicopter again. See, they start shaking the windows again. The idea of human action is freedom from the taint of darkness and the freedom of light from darkness. Means the self-consciousness of light as light. The following version of the doctrine of the 70,000 veils, it goes at 7 again, 70,000 veils as explained by a modern Rifi, Dervish shows clear traces of Gnosticism and is so interesting that I cannot refrain from quoting it here. Oh, wow. Give me a second. Oh, no way. I really closed it, yo.
Daddy.
Yes. Let's go to the history. Give me a second. Oh, here we go. Pop it right back. All right, here we go. Okay. Let me read this and then I'll get you water, okay? One last paragraph, baby boy. All right. 70,000 veils separate Allah, the one reality, from the world of matter and of sense, and every soul passes before his birth through these 70,000. One more time. 70,000 veils separate Allah, the one reality, from the world of matter and of sense, and every soul passes before his birth through these 70,000. The inner half of these are veils of light, the outer half veils of darkness. For every one of the veils of light passed through in this journey towards birth, the soul puts off a divine quality, and for every one of the dark veils it puts on an earthly quality. Thus the child is born weeping, for the soul knows its separation from Allah. That one almost made me tear up right there, man. That's real. The one reality. And when the child cries in its sleep, it is because the soul remembers something of what it has lost. Otherwise, the passage through the veils has brought with it forgetfulness, nisyan. And for this reason, man is called insan, insane. Wow. Nisyan, insan. He is now, as it were, in prison in his body, separated by these thick curtains from Allah. Right. But if the mothers and the fathers, the mothers were conscious with knowledge of self, if they knew themselves, then the womb being the first class, right, the first schoolroom, then they would have that knowledge at birth. And they, because if you read your circle 7, it says that man debased himself from Allah through carnal words, thoughts, and deeds. So that makes me wonder, was there a time when we were being born and then, knowing all? Well, of course, because if mother knew it all, then child would by default know it all, right? Because even if the child need to be taught, then the mother had the knowledge to teach. But nowadays, the mother doesn't have knowledge. Mother only knows go to work, pay bills, and vibrate in her lower self. You know what I'm saying? As far as her thoughts and emotions and stuff. For those mothers who are still, in those lower frequencies, not saying all, there are some that's on their job. But Islam, that's it. I'm done. Get some water. Peace.